This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Well, there is Declan. Brennan was chatting to him earlier, flew over this morning from Northern Ireland. He is very, very pleased to be here. We have seen him on this table before in the Champions League. He gave a pretty good account of himself in that competition as well. Into the group of death, wasn't he, in Group 8 of the Champions League? And here he finds himself in Group 8 of the Masters, and he's got a similarly tough opening fixture here against Oli Bale. And Oli there somehow has gone and had the white in off the break. One of those here, so where you break off and you can see him turn away. He's happy as Larry, all good to go at the table, and he has no idea how that white's been kicked in. And all we can say to him is, Oli, you've been really, really unlucky there, mate.
Yeah, that's about as unlucky as you can get off the break. To be honest, he's hit a really nice break, got a good, decent split, and when he turned away from the table, the cue ball was absolutely in the middle of the table. So. Pretty hard for him, but what a great chance here for Declan to get underway with a nice reverse dish and ease into this match. This is about as comfortable as you'd want it. Key shot for him is going to be transitioning down the table, but with the red nearest the bottom left-hand corner, that shouldn't prove to be too much of a problem for him. He's a shade short on that shot, but he's just come far enough to be okay.
Yeah, it's something we want to keep an eye on at the start of this match in particular, and at the start of the second. The table remains as rock solid as it's ever been here at the Players' Lounge, but it has been reclothed in the last week. Seen a lot of action on it, so we've got a new top, and as always, when you get a new top on the table, it's just always worth keeping an eye, because it will play different to how it played last week and what we've become used to watching. And from what we know, is it's already super responsive. It will just take a little bit of getting used to. Both players had a little bit of table time on it earlier. I was watching Declan practice a little bit earlier just to make myself feel terrible about my poor playing abilities. He's a frighteningly good practice player. And this is about as good a start as Declan Brennan could wish for. He was handed the opportunity and he's taken it with both hands. So he goes 1-0 up. And a little ripple in the crowd. It's nice to hear some supporters in.
Yes,
haven't had that feeling in a little while. But Brennan goes 1-0 up, fairly comfortable starts.
Yeah, it's one thing to say that it was a nice open split for him to go up, but you still got to take them out, and he did that with no fuss at all.
Yeah, the man from Mayo Bridge in Northern Ireland. He's a two-time Northern Irish champion, and probably arguably a slightly bigger achievement, relatively speaking, is that Supreme Series victory, because that is such a ridiculously tough competition to win, isn't it? The fields that you see in those Supreme Series, they're as good a field as we'd expect to see in this Masters, for example. A lot of the time, the standard of player, it's to win an event like that, you don't do that without being one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It really is a massively deep field in those events, and also it was also played to these rule sets as well. They were called the Supreme Rules then. They're now the International 8-ball rules. But if he's winning titles in this rule set against some of the best players in the world, then he really is the real deal. It's only a matter of time before we start to see it here on Free Sports.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Won a host of titles over in Ireland as well.
It's also worth noting that he's not been playing pool, certainly not dedicated himself to pool for that long.
Yeah, only a couple of years, right?
Yeah,
he turned full-time, as it were.
Yeah, he was a snooker player through his youth and for a number of years, and it's only recently that he's started turning to the small table game, and I think that's why I kind of still think of him as only a young 20-year-old, but he's actually mid-late 20s now, but he's certainly young in terms of pool career.
Well, he gave Oli first opportunity there. I thought that was fair enough, really, after the opportunity he was handed off Oli's break, but a dry one from Brennan handed Oli the table. He couldn't really get anything going on it. This is for a good split, it's quite a tricky lie, this. Declan on yellows. And he too is going to play safe. And just a quick early inspection. I think that's a pretty good one. Can Oli just get up to the top right? I think the red on the right of the baulk line goes, but it's almost a nitty-gritty table like this. You have to be perfect all the way around. There's so little margin for error. Talking about little margin for error.
Yeah, I was just about to say, talk about the lay of the table, and held my breath waiting for that cue ball, whether it was going to drop in or not. And I think Oli could see that red to the top left, but he didn't want to play it because he didn't want to move it. So he's come off a cushion, and when you're doing that, you have to make sure you hit the ball hard enough to then hit another cushion, which he did. And of course, that's why the cue ball was running a little bit loose. I think if he was honest for himself, he probably hit the red he wasn't trying to hit. He was actually trying to hit the one just to the left of it, and I think that's why the cue ball was a bit more towards the middle than he wanted, but it's still unfortunate.
Declan able to get his free shot away. Just cue ball in hand, remember, from a foul. And he was able to navigate behind that difficult yellow, which didn't have a pocket at all unless he was exactly where he put that cue ball, so it was quite a handy penalty to receive. And these yellows now all have homes in requisite middle and bottom corner pockets.
I think the one on the break line might even go to the top right. I think he's certainly got half a pocket for it. Yeah, when you look from the overhead there's plenty of room for it. And these are the sorts of layouts that you just don't want to be given Declan too often, really. He's so good at controlling the cue ball around the table and making the most of these sort of opportunities.
Yeah, he comes from a really good snooker background as well. It's not like he was a solid enough youth player. He was close to becoming a professional snooker player, I think, at one point. Very close, as far as I'm led to believe. And when you're at that level of that game, there's a degree of cue ball control, whichever cue sport you end up playing, that's just almost expected, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, especially with a smaller table, you have to have really pinpoint control to be able to control that cue ball all the way through. And it's one of the things he's so good at, and why he's talked about as one of the best players around right now.
This for 2-0. No trouble. Great start from Declan Brennan, who's underway in the best possible start. Oli Bale been a touch unlucky with the opportunities he's been presented in these first couple of frames. The bullet with a little bit of work to do here. He is the 2006 European champion. He's been playing for a very long time, and with that comes an incredible level of experience. He's a phenomenal cue artist. He has the best party piece I've ever seen on a pool table, which, if you're not aware, he's a better one-handed player than some people are two-handed players, and I include myself in that.
He's up against it here, though. That's a tough start for him. At least he's got a ball off the break and he gets to play the next shot this time. So,
yeah, this is a better lie than what he came to the table with in the last frame as well.
Yeah, much better open split for him. And important visit to table, I think, now that he's got the opportunity. Because, OK, yes, it's a race to 8 and there is time left in this match, but you don't want to get too far behind, especially against a player like Declan.
We saw both these players in the Champions League a couple of months ago. Neither made it out of the group stage eventually. Declan Brennan was very unlucky not to.
And obviously, the little nod of the head tells me that red doesn't go into the centre pocket, the one he's next to, or it's very tight. And if it doesn't, then he's on nothing. From the overhead, it might just squeak in, but it's an awkward shot. He has nothing else. He might be playing this off the yellow. That's what he's tried. Not the start that Oli wanted, that's for sure. Loose positional shot to put him in this position, and you don't make too many of these.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that went off the yellow ultimately.
And it's another layout that Declan Brennan will be really looking forward to taking on, because there's nothing to develop. It's just about controlling that cue ball around the table. And you'd be very surprised the way he started off here, that he doesn't go ahead and make it 3-0 very quickly. I have to say for Oli, it's a tough start. Not just the fact that obviously he didn't get much of an opportunity in the opening frame, and the next frame was really a difficult layout for him. But he was very late arriving at the venue tonight. There was some big traffic problems, which I can confirm because I got stuck in them myself. And Yeah, he didn't get as much preparation as he would normally like to. He's a sort of player that likes to get here a good couple hours beforehand and really settle down, have a good knock, and then take a bit of a break. And 10 minutes before we went live, he did say to me, did question whether he was the first or second match, and you could sort of tell in his question he was really hoping he was the second match.
Yeah, very affable character is the Bullets. Become familiar with his antics around the table in the Champions League, and he was here in week 4 as well as part of the Phil Taylor extravaganza. I'm sure quite a few of you have seen him play a frame against the Power, one that he ultimately ended up losing. A special moment that for it early as well is speaking to him. He's an enormous darts fan, an enormous Phil the Power fan as well. And that is one of the tricks of his toolbook, is that dart shot. If he manages to whip it out tonight, I'd be amazed. But it is an incredible party piece to be able to do. You saw it in the montage just at the top of the match. But Declan Brennan here is rolling. An excellent start. 3-zip in next to no time at all in this race to 8. We've not seen many matches reach that ultimatum. But Declan Brennan here is almost seeing that as a personal challenge, the rate he's going at the moment.
Oli looks just frustrated, not got into this match, and I know that he was really frustrated with his performance in the Champions League as well. He did, play some entertaining stuff, but it was only once he was out of the competition in his last match and before he really started to get going. And it said it'd been a while before he'd been on this sort of stage, and he was just frustrated that he didn't perform to the level he knows he can. And obviously starting off slowly in this match is only going to get harder for him.
Yeah, we saw that with a few players actually in that tournament. With obviously the lack of tournament practice, that's a bad break from Declan, and I tell you what, Oli won't get a better chance than this, I don't think. Told you he was breaking unbelievably in practice earlier on. Saw him hit a break earlier, and he was just practicing on the match table, and he made 4 reds and a couple of yellows, and he had 3 drop-ins on the reds and a drop-in on the black. Cleared the table in about 10 seconds, just off the break. Absolutely remarkable. He's got an absolute hammer as Declan Brennan. Yeah,
and he probably didn't even reference it, just did it calmly as you like. And
yeah, well, that was the thing. I think even he was a bit shocked. But it's something that's a useful weapon to have, because it's not always a given when you see players come from that sort of initial snooker background. That the break is quite a unique thing that takes a lot of years to hone and get right. Those were the best ones, have perfect technique, but make no mistake, Declan is up there with the best. Early here with a fantastic chance to get himself a foothold in this match, which he'll be desperate for here. This is awkward queuing, but he should be okay.
When you're in Oli's position, though, you just have to believe in the change of momentum. You get that one on the board, you're up and running, you're breaking next.
Yeah, lovely finish from Oli, similar to the one that Declan took out in frame number 1. And the frames are flying through here. We've played 13 minutes, already had 4 frames on the board. Here's Group 1, or the Quarter 1, I should say. Groups 1 to 4 of the Ultimate Pool Masters. That last 16 lineup is, well, tasty, isn't it? Jordan Shepherd against Chris Melling. Winner of that plays the winner of Phil Harrison and Rob Chilton. Just look at the fellas that have fallen by the wayside. The likes of Carl Morris, Mark Farnsworth, Dylan Leary, John McAllister, Clint Hyanson didn't even make it into the second stage. It's an incredibly tough first quarter, that. And that last 16 match will tell you what, talk about good breaks. They are hitting it well tonight, aren't they? Goodness me.
Look at that cue ball straight up the centre of the table. You can't hit the break better than that. Perfect control.
Yeah, it's pure technique, isn't it?
Yeah,
it just talks about that experience and that honing of the craft. There's a few players who've been playing at the level that Oli has for as long as he has, That is years and years in the making.
I think he's straight enough on the yellow to the top left corner, and he's a fairly routine for a player of Oli's ability, all built on the back of that massive break. He just needs to control a nice pace control onto the 8-ball. It's the only thing to watch for him. He could come up short. He is pretty much perfect. Maybe a roll further than he really wanted to go, but straight in on it.
Oh, this is game back on, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
5 frames done already. This has been frenetic stuff here in the Masters. Oli Bale and Declan Brennan putting on a clinic between them. 15 minutes played, 5 frames down. Some pace this.
It's what you've got to do though when you're in Oli's shoes. If you lost the first 3 frames, you've just got to wait for that opportunity, and when it comes you need to pounce, and he's done that with 2 finishes from the break.
Well, this is the quarter of the draw that we are currently in, the second quarter. You just take a look at the men already through. Carl Sutton, Sam Bircher and Josh Kane, who we saw qualify last week in that dramatic night up against Jordan Church. He was on a one-man mission to cause chaos. Almost taking the shot clock as a personal question, a personal attack.
Yeah, it was one of my favourite weeks so far. I really did enjoy it, and it took all 4 players to make it that entertaining. But I'm really, really pleased for Josh Kane to make it through, especially the way he had to pull out of the previous event, having made it through to the second stage with issues with COVID.
Yeah, it was a great match, that one. Probably, if we're honest, or if I'm honest with myself, I'll let you form your own opinion, Simon, but my match of the tournament so far, that Jordan Church and Josh Kane. Struggle to think of a better one. There's been plenty of competition, but that match just had a little bit of everything, didn't it?
I think we've seen quite a few of the finals be at that sort of level. We've seen a number of the players playing at that sort of just relentless finishing from the break, thinking back to the sort of Phil Harris and Mark Farnsworth match. But I think because the players are getting to play their second match on the table, having made it through the first match, I think the standard of the finals have been particularly high so far. But for me, that match did have everything, with that little twist at the end, with the way that Jordan came back so strongly in the dying seconds. Good first shot from Declan to open up this opportunity. Controlled the pace really nicely. He's not quite got the angle he needs on this yellow to the top right though. May just have to drop this in and play the last yellow from distance. He wanted the cue ball to travel an extra 2-3 rolls up the table just to be able to screw down the line towards the yellow. And he has had to accept the yellow from distance. Natural position onto the 8-ball though.
Well, this for 3 each. Oh, sorry, 4-2, I do apologise. A bit excited there, but that's a lovely response. Both players are absolutely on top of their game at the moment. 6 frames in, played 18 minutes. We are absolutely flying through. Declan Brennan has restored that 2-frame cushion, and this match continues when we return. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. You've not missed much in that advert break. It's still 4-2. Ball was made off the break, but no real chance was really possible for either player. We've got a tactical frame upon us here. Declan Brennan is on yellows, Oli Bale on reds. And to bring the viewers up to speed, this is fairly close to call here. There's tactical battle too. Neither player has managed to wrest control from the other.
Yeah, well, that's an aggressive shot from Oli. He didn't make the pot, but he didn't make the cannon either, so it's actually been a little bit fortunate not to get the cannon.
First proper missed pot that as well of the entire match for keeping count. We're in the 7th frame.
Yeah, I think you're right. I kind of agree with that. It's just that one in the middle earlier on from Oli, which was off a ball, but it's been a decent standard so far. Good shot there from Declan, snookering Oli and all balls.
And remember, even though he is snookered, although he might not be, just looking at what the referee points out there. No, he absolutely is. I think he was just checking if it was glued to the cushion, wasn't he?
Has to hit a cushion.
Where's that white ball? Needs to keep on moving. It hasn't. That's the gap that Declan Brennan was hoping to find. The opening in this frame. So the reason why that was a foul is ball must hit a cushion after contact, even if you are snookered, and neither the red that Oli hit or the white after he hit it hit the cushion, and that means that's a foul. Ball in hand for Declan Brennan.
Declan's got two problems to solve here, and he may not be able to solve them both in one shot. He might try to here though. Oh, he has. That's such a brilliant bit of vision.
I tell you what, that's a shot. Have a watch of this.
He's played the 3-ball plant, but he's purposely played it at a pace where the yellow's going to go up and disturb the one at the top that was causing problems. It really is a great bit of vision to open up everything in one shot.
Yeah, that's quality, isn't it? Real top quality. He was helped, of course, by being able to go cue ball in hand and sort of view the table through a slightly different lens, but that's brilliant from Brennan.
Yeah, you could. I was going to say, you could place the cue ball absolutely anywhere, so he knew he could give himself the absolute perfect angle to do that, but it's having the vision to play the plant and then the ball that you're planting to go up there and be the cannon. More often than not, you're looking at the cue ball being the ball that goes up and does the cannon. So excellent stuff from Declan to come up with that shot, and one decent positional shot away from opening up that 3-frame lead again.
It's been a close match, this. Neither player has really given too much, but Oli Bale there with a couple of small mistakes in this frame, and that really is all it can take at this top level. And make no mistake, we are at the top table here, aren't we? Whichever table Declan Brennan's at, it's a top table. You can't afford to make mistakes against this man. He will punish you.
Yeah, and to be honest, it was Oli that had the first aggressive move. He went for that pot to the bottom left with the cannon as well, and he missed it by quite a big distance, and that allowed Declan to play a really good snooker that earned the opportunity. A little bit earlier on in the frame when we were actually on break, Oli was slightly unfortunate when he tried to get a ball across to the top pocket to cover the pocket, and it actually fell in. But he certainly had his opportunities to win the tactical battle after that, and unfortunately wasn't able to take it.
Oh, that's a rank one. That's a horrible one. I have a feeling this may be a foul break. Let's have a watch.
So it's 3 balls have to either be potted or go past the centre line yet, and that 3 have. Slight change in the rules from the Champions League.
Yeah, 4-3, right?
It was 4, it is now 3. If it was a 4-point rule, then that would have been deemed a foul. And we did see a lot of them in the Champions League as well. And I have to say, I do agree with the change in rule. I think 3 is the right idea. The reason for the rule is to sort of encourage the powerful break, and you get that with 3. But this is certainly going to be a tactical frame. And okay, there's 22 minutes left on the clock here. It's not, we're not really short on time here from Oli's position, but it's certainly one that you want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm still amazed at. Let's have another watch of this. Just so little movement out of it. And as I say, Declan's been breaking a dream since the moment he walked in the building.
It is possible to get a dead pack, so when the balls are racked, there could be a little gap in between the front ball and the rest of the balls, or some of the balls in the pack not quite touching. And I'm not saying that's what happened on this occasion, but it could have done. It's not easy to get them perfect every single time.
Yeah, our referee Scott here is one of the best as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's the sort of thing you see in tournament play every now and then, because it's player racks, and sometimes the players don't do a particularly good job of it. You don't see it so often in tournament play when on a TV table, because you've got top quality referees doing the job.
I got a bit of hammer from one of the players earlier because was just helping them rack up on the table, and racked up, took the triangle off. Got a little look that said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, let's do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Not as easy a job as it looks. This is not an easy frame to win from this point. Declan's been going about his work really intelligently, actually. You take a look at the table now and you just see these yellows a lot more open than they were, which has almost forced Oli's hand into taking a slightly more aggressive option. It's not a bad shot, that. He's made the ball, so he's still at the table, but it's whether he's still got a route to continue this visit. I don't think he has.
Well, he can pot the red nearest the left centre to the top corner, but whether he can get it into the centre pocket, I don't know. The problem he has is the rest of the reds at the bottom all look like they're blocking each other.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I think he can take that pot up to the top of the table, but whether he will is entirely dependent on the rest of the table, and it would have been, suicide really to take that on at that position. At the minute, he just elects to leave himself a good white and get another one of his balls free. So that means it's a slightly more even table, but he knew he was risking that there because he's left a long yellow. And Declan's just deciding whether he wants to go for it, because he could. It's a difficult table, but he could.
I don't think he's got any thoughts of it, to be honest. He came around to have a look quite quickly at where he wants to place this cue ball for a safety. And it's a clever safety because it opens up two balls in one shot, and he's kept it safe.
I just wonder if Oli's looking at a little combination shot here off the 8 ball.
This is aggressive.
Oh, tell you what a shot that is. That is brilliant. And I think the reds that have stuck together towards the middle of the table, actually, do they go? I think they do.
Yeah.
So this is now an amazing visit to the table, all introduced by that sensational billiard shot from the bullet. So good.
It's brilliant, because if he doesn't make that in the centre pocket, he loses the frame. Look what he was doing to all the yellows at the bottom of the table.
He loses the frame with the best part of 20 minutes left on the watch, and Declan 2 frames away. That could well be the swing frame of the match. What a big frame for Oli Bale to go and win. And let's have another watch of this, because I can watch this all night long. That is so good. And he deserved a little bit of luck with the reds going into the middle pocket.
It would have been very unlucky if the balls didn't, if they'd planted and not go into the pocket. They should have separated and all but open. He deserved the opportunity after making a ball that good into the centre pocket, because he is going to lose the frame if it doesn't go in, and he was odds against making it, that's for sure. I have to say the black was also a really impressive shot, considering
it wasn't easy.
Yeah, once he'd made the ball into the middle pocket, he should have worked himself into a better position to be on that 8 ball nice and clean, and he was a lot further away than he should have been. But excellent pot.
Such an impressive frame to win from that position, because Declan was doing everything right, wasn't he? Did it by the book, gradually was working himself to a position where that frame was becoming unlosable. And in the end, Oli Bale was backed into a corner and really came up with the goods. He's been a little bit unlucky with his break here, not making a ball, a few bouncing off jaws. And you can see there the agony He's so close to making one. It does look a congested table at the top half in particular.
Just going back to that previous frame quickly, that it's easy from Declan's position because he's 5'2" in front. It makes it a little bit easier as well. But you tell yourself you've made the right choice there. Makes 2 when he was only trying to make 1, but he's still okay. But in that situation, I think if he was offered to take on, offered the chance to go for the clearance in that situation or play the safety shot again in exactly the same situation, he would play it again. I think the odds were in his favour. It was just the quality of Oli's shot and then clearance afterwards that made the difference.
Yeah, if anything, for me, that shot from Oli is improved. The tariff of the shot is improved by the situation the match he was in. That was a response to a very good safety. But Declan here has flown through, and we talked about the pace of the match a little bit earlier. Haven't seen very many matches go the distance in terms of the scoreboard. Seen plenty go the distance in terms of the match clock. But I think if it is going to be Declan to win it, it will be on the scoreboard at this rate. Oli has to find a way to slow him down, to drag himself back into this match, because in 2 shots' time, Declan Brennan is going to go 2 frames away from a spot in tonight's final. Lethal.
That looked like it was going to be a really congested table and we were going to go back for another tactical frame, but a couple of the balls at the top that looked tricky actually went, and he played really good position to land on them, and he made that look really light work.
Yeah, he really did. It is one of the things that I enjoy watching so much about this sport. It constantly gives me entertainment, but it's a constant source of frustration at how easy the best players make this game look.
Yeah.
And it sort of, it satiates me a little bit that you have much of a similar feeling, and you're at a much higher level pool-wise than I ever was or will be.
Yeah, it certainly, it never felt that easy for me when you're out there, that's for sure. These guys make it look so easy, and it really isn't, but that's the part of the skill, I think, is if you can control that cue ball and pick good routes, then you can make the game look really, really easy when you're playing well.
That's about a split. He does get some serious cue power, doesn't he?
Really attacks it, really jumps into it.
Watch how far the cue comes down the table. And he pokes the cameraman in the eye. It's serious, isn't it? Really throws the arm at it.
But Declan won't thank me for saying this, but when he was warming up earlier, he went for a break, and you could see it there on the replay, how far back he's pulled the cue, that it's gone past the line of the cushion, and he's just kind of almost flicked the cushion with the tip as he's gone through. Well, he did that in practice earlier, and flicked the cushion so hard that the cue went offline and he missed the cue ball completely. Which,
I can't believe you throw him under the bus like that.
I feel like he won't like me for saying that. But
it's a good job he's 6'3" up, otherwise he'd be pretty cross right now. It just shows it happens to the best of us, eh?
It really does, yeah.
We saw Phil Taylor do that, of course, in week 4 pretty infamously.
Yeah, very similar actually, yeah. Very, very similar. On this occasion, he's made a ball, and what a chance this is. And every time he's had an opportunity like this in this match, where the balls are wide open and there's nothing to develop, he has got round very, very comfortably.
Yeah, this has been almost as clinical a performance as I can think of in this competition so far. Right from the gun, he has been on it. I don't think Declan's missed a pot yet.
No.
And his cue ball positioning has been flawless right from the start. Been so impressive to watch. And it's so difficult to beat, because he has admittedly got a lot of chances, and that has come via virtue of his own break and sometimes off Oli's. But if you're Oli Bale, almost impossible to win this match when your opponent's playing this well and getting the chances that he's got.
Yeah, and you just said it there. I think that he hasn't missed a pot yet in this match, which makes you think, oh, he's just got into this way too much. It's almost the first mistake he's made in the match.
Curse, isn't it, if you saw it?
I was just about to sort of say the reason he hasn't missed a pot in the match is because his cue ball control's been so good and he hasn't really had to take on a difficult pot other than the one down the rail. But this time the cue ball control is what lets him down. I think that's just where the table is so responsive. Brand new cloth, just gets into it just way too much.
Yeah, this is it again. He was hoping to slide by it.
Yeah, just wanted one cushion and he just got into it too much. So the cue ball hit much further to the right than he wanted it to. He wanted it to sort of hit the top cushion or the left-hand cushion as we look from this overhead and then spin into the gap.
Well, I think he ran the numbers in his head, analysed the angles, tried to see if there was a way to take it on. There wasn't, and this is the problem because he knew he was inviting this. Wasn't really a way around that. The sort of boon that he's got here is if he hits it, he will go close to potting it. That's the risk that Oli's had to take. He's played the right shot as Oli, percentage shot.
The problem that Declan has is it's so easy to hit off one or two cushions, but you're coming at it from the wrong angle. To hit it at the angle to get it going towards the pocket is just incredibly difficult. All the yellows are in the way, the 8-ball's in the way. He may come off one cushion, and remember, he has to hit a cushion after contact, so we may just see this as a bit of a hit and hope. Needs to hit a cushion, and he has. Okay, he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, not a terrible outcome, is it?
Yeah. He's knocked the 8-ball semi-difficult. He hasn't left an easy pot on.
Well, that's quite a clever shot, actually, from Oli. I thought he'd been a tad aggressive there, and then I saw where he'd left the white ball, and actually it was as played. If he'd made a ball, then great, but if not, he knew he was leaving it pretty well. Declan's just having a little look here. Can he thread the needle here? Through the posts. And I think he thinks this is going pretty close.
Yeah, there is a gap between the two yellows.
Bottom cushion in between the two.
It's a bit of a guide, really.
He's playing it with a fair amount of side. Oh, what a shot! Wow!
This is brilliant.
He's played some really, really good stuff tonight in a purely conventional, functional way, but he's produced there a moment of absolute magic. What a frame to win, and Declan Brennan goes one away from victory tonight. That's such a stunning shot. Absolutely has played, lined it up, and the thing that's most impressive to me is he's lined that up, but it's not a natural angle. He's had to line it up with the side, and that's such a difficult thing to judge.
Yeah, you need to get the angle coming off the cushion correct to be able to go through the yellows at the right line to be able to then pot it. So to play that shot with the side the way he did, that's just incredible. What a shot that is. And Oli's going to be so frustrated with himself because he knows that once Declan hasn't made that clearance, that's a frame he absolutely has to win. He has to find a way. And okay, yes, that's a great shot from Declan, but Oli's going to be annoyed that he didn't win it either the previous visit or find a better snooker to try and do it a visit later.
Oh, you're an incredibly harsh headmaster there, I think. I totally understand that he'll be annoyed. Like, that's just a player's mentality. That's how you have to be in some ways. But yeah, I think you do have to feel a little bit for him. Declan has pulled something out the fire there that is quite brilliant. We are into the 15-second shot clock now. We're into the final 10 minutes of the match. And this would be, were it to happen, the best comeback we've seen in both the Masters, in Ultimate Pool, I'd say, in its about a year-long history now.
We saw a 4-1 deficit turned around by Sean Story against Simon Fitzsimmons, 4-1 down in a race to 5 with 8 minutes left on the clock. This would be right up there. That sort of level.
That's a quite ludicrous fluke from Oli there. But it's actually turned out okay, because he's where he wanted to be. with the cue ball. He's got half a chance here of cleaning these up.
Don't know if there's enough room to pot the red that's nearest the right centre into the centre pocket rather than the corner pocket. If he has to take it into the corner, then he's got to get the one that's in the way out the way first. And that's not easy to do. And he's taking on a plant. This is very, very high tariff.
Extension called, and quite right too. He's got to have a long look at this to line it up. Well, we've seen some good shots tonight. That was very close to being right up there. Declan Brennan can go and win it here.
Really tough shot with that much gap between the balls, and they weren't dead straight either, so don't make those very often. A couple of yellows at the top of the table aren't a natural plant either, so this isn't a guaranteed finish for Declan, but the way he's played tonight, you certainly expect him to take them out. Be interesting to see whether he tries to move those two yellows or whether he just accepts them the way they are and plays them as a plant. He is going to try and move them, I think, by playing this one across to the left-hand side. Just gives him the right angle to go into them. Hitting the bottom of the two yellows would be perfect. Not quite the contact he wanted, but he's still got a chance. It's a delicate shot in the centre. Always looks easier on camera than it really is, and I think that's why he's going away from it and taking the one to the corner first. And he hasn't landed, so it's going to be a double.
Yeah, it was a really tough positional shot. Double's on. It's not easy to judge though when you're so close to it. Shot clock ticking. Ooh, draw away. Oli Bale stays alive. Oh, he wasn't far off that, was he? And with a simple pot down the bottom right here. And you can see he's playing quick. He knows that with the shot clock here, it's not outside the realms of possibility.
And the golden break as well, just to add to his chances.
Clock stops then at 5:51:50. So shade under 6 minutes remaining. 7-4. It's absolutely possible in the time that's left remaining. The question, though, is if he'll get the chance. Lovely to see a bit of camaraderie as well between the two players. Not sure what they're laughing about. I'll be sure to ask them afterwards.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was all about either, but they're both enjoying themselves out there.
All business is Brennan.
I think there's definitely, as you just said, there's enough time on the clock for Oli to win 3 frames minimum. So
but he needs everything to go his way. That's the thing. It's easily possible to make 3 clearances, but will he have the chance to make 3 clearances? Because 2 of them will have to come on Declan Brennan's break, and it's been good so far, bar 1.
Oh,
we got a stroke of luck there. Yeah, you put your hand up, Declan. Not sure how that white didn't go in.
wow.
Well, he's got the great chance to go and win the match here. Wow.
You could see with the break that he just hit that the cue ball had so much spin on it. You can see the spots on it. It was spinning and the cue ball was flying straight into that centre pocket. He misstruck the cue ball so poorly but the cue ball just spun around the back of the pocket and just spat it out. Very, very fortunate to keep the cue ball on the table.
Oh, big time.
And then when you look at the layout he's been blessed with as well, doubly unlucky for Oli, because it wouldn't have taken him too long, or he would have been excited to get this opportunity, because it would have been potentially a quick finish.
Yeah, let's make no bones about it. Declan Brennan has been superb tonight. Really has played well. But he's also had a little bit of the rub of the green at times as well. Doesn't even have to move the 8 ball, it goes to the right middle. And the pace that was put on by these two players in the early going has meant that we've had a really enthralling match. It's been far from a washout, but it is going to fall short of that match clock. Declan Brennan gets the job done. And the bullet is chambered. It is 8-4 the final score, and Brennan advances through to tonight's final. Still no idea how that cue ball didn't go in, but that's a fantastic finish from Declan Brennan. A brilliant performance. And tough for Oli Bale, but not a huge amount he could have done in the end against a player, Simon, who was at the very, very top of an already very, very good game.
Yeah, very, very impressive, very clinical from Declan.
Superb performance from Declan Brennan. Let's just talk a little bit about the way he's been able to just go from the gun, because we were a little bit surprised by that, I think by both players, and the way that they came out. We've not seen a huge amount of that in this tournament. The pace that they went at was phenomenal.
I think part of that was down to the fact that, other than 1 or 2 frames where it was a little bit congested and a little bit awkward, that the balls actually opened up really nicely. You think back to Declan, who took out some really nice and controlled finishes. He was never in trouble. We talked about the fact he didn't miss any pots other than that double late on, and that's because he kept up such good control of the cue ball, and therefore that they were able to absolutely fly through those frames, good open frames, and work their way through it. So I agree that I don't think there was a lot that Oli could have done differently. He just needed to take a couple more of his chances earlier on to put Declan under more pressure to see what could have happened. But Declan was so clinical, and he had the majority of the chances. It would have been hard for Oli to get into it.
Yeah, it was a game that was clinical, so many dishes from it, but it was a game that had its magical moments too. And that shot from Declan Brennan, it's as good as it gets, isn't it?
It really is. This is following one of his rare mistakes, a positional error that cost him the finish from the break. But from that snooker to be able to pick that gap, pick the line through the cue balls, had to play it with side as well to find the line through the balls to be able to make the pot. Was absolutely brilliant, and obviously makes the ball down the rail as well. And when you're sat in Oli Bale's chair and thinking, I need a couple of things to go my way here to get into it, and this is a frame I really need to win, you've got your opponent in a snooker and they come up with that, you can't, you just think it's not your night, really.
Yeah, well, Declan Brennan makes his way through to tonight's final. He'll face either one of our second semi-finalists, and our second semi-final is on your screens when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Fantastic opening match has seen Declan Brennan book his place in tonight's final, but who will he face? 2 players here, Simon, who we're really looking forward to watching. We've seen Craig Lakin on our screens before in the Champions League, but his opponent Chris Patient is something of a slightly more unknown quantity. This should be an interesting encounter.
It is two big characters in the pool world, but yeah, I think we've seen plenty of Craig on Free Sports. We've seen him in the Champions League. We saw him on a lot of the shootouts. Probably not quite fulfilling the potential that we all know he has in terms of his ability, but he is up against a bit of an unknown quantity tonight in this matchup. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we are ready to go then with our second semi-final. It's Craig Money-Making Lakin versus the King Pigeon. Here we go, Chris Patient, Craig Lakin, ready to roll then with our second semi-final. Winner plays Declan Brennan. Not too sure where the pigeon moniker came from, but you can see he really buys into it, does Chris Patient. Runs his own pool promotion under the same name. And you can see there with his break, he is not a man to be trifled with when it comes to the break. He's got lovely, long, flowy cue action, which, when it works well, looks beautiful.
Yeah, he certainly got through that first break really nicely, giving himself a decent split to go at. Well, he's just got into the cue ball too much there. He was trying to, just the yellow that he just brushed past, he was just trying to move it, as it doesn't quite go from where it is now. So he's just put himself in a bit of trouble after that first shot. His reaction tells me that he wasn't trying to pot that, but I think he was. He was just signalling that he didn't want the cue ball to go any further because he wouldn't have been on this yellow to the corner. So that's a good couple of recovery pots to get himself back in with a chance. Still needs a good positional shot to land on this yellow to be able to then get onto the 8-ball as well.
Yeah, cue ball could be flying around the table here. And he's still on it.
Yeah,
you just see he's trying to get to grips with it, but still just about alive this visit.
Yeah, he's showing plenty of frustration early in this visit, but I think he'd have taken this from where he was.
Oh, he wanted that one to drop. It was close. Managed to hold the white really well too. He'd have been on the 8-ball. Just needed to get that line right. And this now is it's a gimme of a chance for Craig Lakin.
I said at the top of this match that it's two big characters, and you can see this very quickly with Chris. He really is a character out there. Taking on the skill shot, but taking it on in such a way that if he doesn't make it like he hasn't, he wasn't going to be leaving the 8-ball on. It's a clever choice of shot. He's played it in such a way where he wasn't really trying to make the skill shot, because he wouldn't have been on anything if he had made it. It's just a clever tactical shot.
And now's the chance to go and win the frame. It's a good hit from Chris Patient, but not a huge amount more he could do there, really. Another snooker just to help ease the process of winning this first frame for money-making Lakin. Probably my favourite name in pool, that, by the way. Oh, I thought for a second he was going to go close there. Wasn't far away, was the King Pigeon, which, by the way, is now my second favourite name.
I was just trying to think whilst Chris was lining up that shot whether Craig was really taking on that pot to the bottom corner. He didn't get particularly close. Or whether he was just playing the snooker. It would be a strange one if he did just play the snooker, because you just don't want to be giving your opponent an opportunity to come off one or two cushions and get solid contact on the 8-ball when all your balls already go. You're not gaining anything.
And he's polished off these ones fairly easily. About to go 1-0 up.
Whether he played the pot or not on that previous visit, he did survive that attempt from Chris. And he manages to get the first frame on the board, and he has some supporters out there as well. Great to hear the supporters back here at the venue. Quick look at Craig's profile. before we go over to get a few words with the winner of our first match. And actually we can do that now as Declan Brennan is with Stephen Jameson.
He certainly is. Declan, a big congratulations on getting the win in our first match tonight, and some performance as well. But the first thing I wanted to ask you was about that 8-ball in the middle pocket. That was nice little snooker through the needle. We watched you line it up. It was a beautiful shot. Talk us through it.
I was lucky. Well, I shouldn't have been in that position. It was the only bad shot I played the whole match, I think, really, from what I remember. It was not getting on that last ball, but then Oli just gave me a chance and just fell through a nice gap for me. Obviously, you still have to get the gap, but it wasn't too bad.
We saw you in the Champions League where you were giving a bit of a nightmare draw to try and get through. Despite playing well, didn't quite manage to get through. Do you feel like almost you've got a bit of a point to prove in this tournament, that you want to have a bit of a run and just show everyone how good you are? Yeah,
no. I think I played well enough to show everyone how good I am. It's just for getting the win. I'm here just to enjoy the pool as well. Obviously, that's the first and foremost. But obviously, I'm here to try and get through, and that's my job tonight.
And how pleased were you with how you played as well? Because that was almost flawless tonight in that
Well,
first
I'm pretty pleased because that was the first frame of pool I've played against somebody since the last event. You know, I've been playing on my own a wee bit and stuff, but obviously it's a little bit different because you've nobody hitting back at you. And Ollie was a wee bit unlucky in the first few frames, to be quite honest. He was unlucky. He kicked in off first frame, left me easy finish, and then he got froze out for the next two. Then he showed his class in the next two frames to pull it back straight away. So he played well. He was a bit unlucky. I just played a wee bit better. That's all it was.
You mentioned you've not had the chance to play anyone. How nice is it to be back over and also not just a chance to play other people, but the club's open. You've got a few spectators watching. It's nice to be back, isn't it?
A bit of atmosphere. That's all you want. You know, it's hard to be playing on your own in the garage all the time and it's just dead silence. Like it's hard to get yourself up for it. Where now you're back on TV and you're playing and there's a few people moving around and stuff, and it's far better. And hopefully, the long way it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to watch you tonight and best of luck later on.
Thanks.
Back to you, Si.
Well, great to hear from Declan ahead of tonight's final. He did play very, very well in that opening match. Going back to this match, and not the best of splits off Craig's break, even though he did make a ball. A bit of a tactical one, although Chris is trying to open things up, but hasn't landed nicely on his next pot.
There certainly is a little bit of atmosphere out there for this one, isn't there? You heard that at the end of the last frame. I think Craig fairly local to this venue, so he's got a few eager watchers on us. There's Chris Fowles there, trying to play the ball cushion first. And now Craig's looking to open things up, although that's not gone as planned. He's pretty unlucky actually to stick the white ball like that. That's pretty odds against being able to do that. He might just have to revert to playing another safety here, just keeping it tight.
It was always odds against opening things up, coming into it from that angle, but it was difficult to come into it from any other angle. So I tried to hit it with a lot of pace just to make things open up, and he really did stick on it. Hasn't given it away though. He's going to make Chris play a good shot, and Chris has played a good shot. I think Craig's safety just rolled that extra roll further and left the double on that he was trying to hide. I think it's really important for Chris in this match. I think there's no doubt that Craig Lakin starts as a decent price favourite for the match. So I think it's important for Chris to get off to a good start and stick with him early on.
Yeah, big outsider tonight, Chris Patient. Seen him priced as high as 25 to 1 to qualify through tonight. But he's off the board. He's on the board rather, off the mark. 1-1. And we mentioned how good the draw for this tournament is. Let's take a look at quarter 3. This is coming up next week, Group 9. I say next week, it's coming up in 3 days on Tuesday. Simon Fitzsimmons versus Mike King, Chris Day, Andy Cragg. Can't wait to watch the bounce back in action. Group 10 I've been looking forward to for weeks. Lee Kendall versus Gav Robinson is a great opener. Then Rhoda McCarthy, Emma Cunningham, what a match that is. And then we've got the young snooker sensation Ryan Davies, he's in Group 11. Sean Story, Craig Waddingham, Jake Dillon-Newler, just great players all round. Group 12 as well. How about Aaron Davies, Shane Thompson as an opener in that one. And Chris screws straight into the middle pocket off the break, and he's got a great split here, and this is a mouth-watering one for Craig Lakin to come at.
Yeah, it is. It's a massive split again. He got a great split in his opening break and kept the cue ball on the table and gave himself a good chance. He didn't take it, but this time the cue ball flies straight in, and what a chance here for Craig, who will be annoyed not to have won the previous frame, having got that foul from Chris. But immediately got an opportunity to bounce straight back, and it's pretty simple for a hit from here for a player of Craig's level.
Yeah, and he doesn't tend to hang about, does Craig Lakin. He's a quick player, and he won't be utilising the full shot clock. Very rarely, at least. And his few supporters are making a decent amount of noise as well, which is nice to see. It's interesting, actually, just touching on what Declan was saying in his interview there. It is amazing what a difference it makes, I think, to a player. It doesn't need much. You know, you're talking here about there's just a few people who are in the club watching. It's just nice to be able to have that little bit of atmosphere, but that is so much more than nothing, which is what it was before, and that is difficult to get yourself up for and difficult to motivate yourself for.
Well, we could really feel it last week when we came back in, the first day that clubs had reopened, and it's brilliant to see the clubs reopen, but the whole place changed in terms of its atmosphere, the people in there, whereas we've been here for the last few months with it being, you know, an empty place here, you know, almost a studio, and it's just a completely different atmosphere to be playing pool in, and it's just fantastic to see everyone back in the clubs, not just here, but I've been seeing a lot on social media, everyone getting back into playing the game. It's been absolutely brilliant. Was even sent a video from young Mikey Griffiths, a young 5-year-old out in the club playing the game, and just love seeing that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? It just does feel like we're starting to make some real progress towards a bit of normality. And that's not a normal miss from Craig Lakin. That's a rare one. It's one that he'd love back. Tried to do two things at once in developing the red as well as making the pot. I think he's just taken his eye off the line there. And the king pigeon is back in with a shot here of squaring things up. That yellow on the left side rail is obviously his most difficult ball, but he's not even going to make it that far.
You could see the grimace on Chris's face with his first shot. He was trying to play better position onto one of those two yellows in the middle to give himself the angle to develop the yellow at the top of the table, or even track up for a double. Didn't leave him on the ball he wanted to be, and that's forced the miss. One thing's for sure, Chris is going to let us know how he's feeling out there. Showing his emotion right from ball one. Not a guaranteed finish here for Craig. Got that right above the 8 ball. Might have an angle to try and track into it now. If he does, then he'd love to hit it off the cushion first, but if he goes straight into it, he needs to move it further. He was a bit straighter than I thought, so it's the double.
Shot. I know you've experienced this in your career once or twice, where you had some supporters, your fans turned up. It does make a bit of a difference out there to get a bit of encouragement when you win a frame, make a good pot, doesn't it?
I think it does for a player of at Craig's level, and because Craig Money Making Lakin, that name comes from the fact that he's a player that plays a lot of money matches. So he's used to playing in front of a decent crowd that are very, very much behind him. Gets a lot of support in Derby, where he plays a lot of his money matches, certainly his home venue. the corner exchange. And
that's not chalk he's putting on that cue. He's making some in-game adjustments. Let's take a look at, meanwhile, at the fourth and final quarter of this draw. My personal favourite here, we've got some unbelievable matches coming up. Omar Munshid, the recent World Cup finalist. Carl Boys is a bit of a standout tie. What a break that is from Chris Payson, sending every ball bar 2 north of the baulk line.
Almost too good.
And a couple of weeks after that Carl Boys match, we've got my tie of the round in Sean Chipperfield versus Michael Hill. And in that same week as Omar and Carl, of course, Scott Gillespie in action. Relentless.
I think he's playing John Rowe as well, so it's a battle of world champions as well. So it really is a... One thing I like about looking at the draw, and we show it every single week, we show all the quarters and run through it, is I feel like every week one other match catches my eye. I've always got ones I'm looking forward to, and then something else catches my eye, and it really is brilliant to see how it's all unfolding. Oh, great shot. Not sure if he can play a plant here. If he can get out and make this finish. If he can't,
be 7 finish from here.
I don't see how he can develop the ball at the top. And
this is a brilliant shot, by the way. That's really well played. But if he is to make the clearance from before that double, it's about as high tariff as it goes. What can he produce? Went for the 3-ball plant, didn't get it. And the king pigeon is flapping a touch. Simon Webb is wincing at that one. Can't blame him.
I didn't want to react. I think Craig is going to want to try and keep the red nearest the left centre pocket as his last ball. It gives him the best position onto the 8 ball. That's going to be his goal and his target for the finish. Looks a decent enough angle into the centre pocket. Just make sure I was about to say, just make sure don't leave yourself straight, but even straight is absolutely fine here for Craig. Just don't miss the pot.
Don't miss the pot. That is the most crucial bit of that one. It's the second one into the middle that he's missed, and this time around he doesn't have the excuse of trying to play a cannon at the same time. Chris played a brilliant shot there to free the 8 ball. Does he have the option to cut it in? I think he does.
Yeah, I think there's enough room. He just stopped in his tracks to walk round, and we'll know after he plays this shot. And yeah, I think there is. He would have tried to go into it if there wasn't. So,
oh, what a gimme! (3-2). That's a sloppy one from Craig Lakin to give away. As we revisit quarter 4, I mean, the Group 14 is an absolute minefield, isn't it? Any one of those 4 players, all such high quality. You got Neil Raybone in Group 13. Arfan Dad's in there as well as Brian Halcrow, and strongly with Group 16 as well, with Leiden de Bono in the mix, Maltese player, and just sheer quality wherever you look. But I must say, Group 14 might be the group of the entire round that you talk about a group of death. That is right up there, isn't it?
It really is, and we've seen some already, and that tells you that we're still raving about that one. It's going to be fascinating to see how that night unfolds.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. I think by the time we pick up that sort of momentum into July, into quarter 4 of the draw, into the last 16s, you've got 6-7 weeks straight of just the highest possible quality pool on your TV every single week. It will be relentless, and it will be so much fun. We already can't wait for it. We've still got a long way to go before that. Still got plenty of mileage in this tournament just yet.
That last frame, just going back to this match, that last frame from Craig was huge. You feel like he would have broken the back of this match, just the way that Chris had started and the fact that he's a big underdog anyway. If Craig could have got himself 4-1 in front, I think he could have gone a long way to killing this match off. But he's just allowing Chris to stay in the match and staying invested in this match. You can tell the way Chris is playing. He's had a couple of opportunities like this where he really wants to be aggressive. He doesn't want to get stuck into a tactical battle. So even when it's an odds against clearance like it is here, he wants to take it on.
Yeah, and that's the sort of game Craig wants to play as well, to be fair.
He's a touch unfortunate there not to open him up better than he has. It was always going to be odds against with the number of yellows in the way and the way they got yellow near the top left corner, but he got such good movement on the reds. He would hope for slightly better than he's been left.
Oh, got a horrible contact on that. And you heard about it as well.
Not an easy finish though. Okay, it's a foul, and quite often in pool you think if you're giving a foul away, you expect your opponent to go close, but there's some problems on the table here for Craig, and he solved one there with the first shot. He's still got to work these through nicely.
It's close, that one. You can see the pace that Craig's playing. He's not afraid to take these difficult shots on. Just kissed the rail, didn't he, on the way down, which forced it onto the far jaw of the pocket. Oh, that's a clever shot. That's in as well. That's a great shot for Chris Pation.
It's brilliant. It's one of the best shots we've seen in the tournament so far for me.
That's so
it really
good.
is. Purposely playing that 2 cushions off the yellow, not trying to play it slowly to take the pocket. Absolutely has played.
Yeah, it really is. And as soon as he played it, we could see from our view he had the perfect line. It was right on the money. That's such a good shot. Do get the sense that Chris is here for a good time, not a long time tonight, and well, that's a further example. He's still got a chance here. It's not where he wanted to be with this red, but can he get position onto the 8 ball? Oh, that'll do, actually. That jaw of the middle was left of a long pot, but a fairly straight pot. And this is to tie things up at 3 apiece here. Nails it, and we are all square with 6 frames gone, 28 minutes still to go. It is all to play for. The King Pigeon is making it difficult for the moneymaker. This match continues next. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters, and that scoreline is not a lie. Chris Pation break dishing in the break. And a shock potentially on the cards here in the Ultimate Pool Masters. Craig Lakin making his way though through this visit. And this is the key shot. Played that really well. He's got rank queuing on the next one though. And this is now what was a routine shot. This is now a lot tougher. Played it well. And Craig Lakin gets the job done, 4 apiece. But it's noticeable that his followers on are a little bit more muted than they were in the early frames. They all of a sudden find their man in a real battle here. Man from Derby. He's run some good competitions as well. Been around the scene for a long time, Craig Lakin, and as Simon mentioned earlier, that nickname of Money Making, a product of his prolific money match career. But he's won some inverted commas proper tournaments as well. Players amateur champion, won an amateur competition on the IPA as well, which takes some doing. Won that down in Brighton, and on his day when he can put it together, he's a match for anyone. It's just that sort of consistency that's never quite managed to take him to that sort of next level, I think it's fair to say.
I think that's a really fair call. I think I watch obviously a lot of Paul and seen a lot of Paul players, and he's very, very talented as anyone I've seen, but for whatever reason, not quite broken through to that really top echelon of the game.
The king pigeon there, going through all possible emotions in the
He certainly
in the space of 10 seconds there, didn't he?
Big double this. If he makes it, great chance, and he has. All these yellows go now.
Yeah, an opportunity knocks. And this is on. And as we head towards the latter stages of this match, each frame just take. Oh wow! Wowee! Well, we've not seen that in this tournament yet. Not seen that on this table yet, and we've been playing on it for the best part of half a year now. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
It always surprises you every time. You do see it every now and then on a pool table, and it never seems to be the one that's hit with tremendous force.
Yeah, absolutely. That pocket has taken some serious heat. I can't believe that's not gone in.
It's a loose shot from Craig in response, though. Should have been another couple of rolls down the table. Oh, it's a good double to recover the situation, but yeah, just going to that bounce out. It's just so frustrating as a pool player. You make a nice comfortable pot into the corner and it just spits it straight back out. It
sometimes happens. It's rare for it to happen in a corner pocket. Sometimes it happens in the middles because of the way the angles of the pocket work, and everyone knows that playing into the middle at pace can be a little bit of a challenge at times, but goodness me, that ball was barely played at any sort of pace. The odds of that springing back out are crazy. Let's have a watch. That's just makes you feel really sorry for Chris there, don't you? It's a sick net.
You do, and I've actually spoken to Supreme, who are the table manufacturers, to sort of not to discuss the bounce out, but it was part of the conversation, and they're as frustrated with it as anyone, really. They look into it, looking into reasons why it happens, and that it's so difficult to try and work out and solve. And we've seen it with a few different table manufacturers as well. It's not like it's just one. It seems to be quite a common thing in the pool world, which is just really frustrating to see.
Yeah, tough school. It's a massive frame to win that if you're Craig Lakin as well. And looks like there is some justice in the world. Chris Patient is going to get the next visit. I feel like it's a little bit of pooling karma, isn't it? Because if Craig Lakin had come out and break dish there, you'd have felt immensely sorry for Chris.
Would be very harsh, wouldn't it? It really would. But this is where you have to be mentally strong. You've got to be able to sit there and deal with that sort of thing happening. And we saw it with Oli in the previous match. He was able to sit there, take a bit of punishment, and then respond with a couple of finishes on the trot and try and take your next opportunity. And Chris is right in this match if he can do that. A little bit unfortunate to stick on the red the way he has, but he still has this shot to the top right corner, and he has opened up the red at the bottom. So if he can make this pot and just control the cue ball back an inch or two, which he's done, holds his hand up because he just caught the cushion first, but it did drop in, and he now has the angle he wants to be able to go up the table for his red at the top. Key that he doesn't leave himself straight. And he hasn't. Nice little angle here.
We could be in for a really dramatic finish to this match. Must admit, when Craig started well and Chris started a little bit rashly, I did think this match was only going to go one way, but the underdog has has really come back in this match to an impressive level, and he's making this very, very difficult for Craig Lakin.
It's a lovely shot. He's overhit it, but it was not easy to get that line, and he's done well to reach this point.
This is a big shot to play, isn't he? He's got to judge the pace this and the line perfectly to be on the 8 ball. That'll do. He'll take that.
I thought he might play that plain ball and target one of the yellows at the top just to control the cue ball, but he's played in and out, and he's done it well.
How about it? 5-all. Still with plenty of time left in this match. We've seen 2 matches tonight, Simon, where they've flown by. There's not been any tactical frames, really, especially in this match where either player can avoid it. Both are going for it right from the get-go.
Yeah, Craig's a very attacking player, but you can visibly see that Chris is not being drawn into anything tactical. Any frames that look like they're going to be tactical, he's really chasing finishes that potentially aren't there, and it's making for a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, it really is. He has been breaking really well. As Chris. Oh, I've put a curse on him there. It's twice tonight that's happened. Let's have a watch of the reaction. You'll know about it.
Straight in as well. So frustrating. And look at the layout as well. When you sit down in your chair, you just know you're going to lose the frame.
Yeah, you've already racked that up to the other player, haven't you?
You have, and you just, especially with the finish that Chris took out, which was fantastic. You know, you're thinking to yourself, it's a lot of hard work to sort of, respond to that bounce out, get back into this match, and you almost give it away with just your break. Okay, there's a lot more that goes into it, and that wasn't quite the position that Chris wanted, that Craig wanted there. He wanted to just go into the 8 ball, but he's still okay.
Yeah, it's the sort of frame where you have a break like that and you look at the split and you just almost, if you were 2 mates playing in a club, you'd almost knock the black in just to help extend your hour on the table to a little bit more profitable time, Really is that simple of a clearance. And Craig Lakin has gone about it in a business-like fashion. He's never going to miss this one. And it's 6-5. He goes 2 from home. Still got plenty of time left in this match. These lads are rattling through the frames here. Pace has been frenetic tonight. We've not seen, I think we've seen all the way through the tournament, 2 matches go the scoreboard distance.
Both players are really playing at a high pace, and we haven't reached the quick part of the match yet. When the clock changes when we get down to the final 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I don't think either are going to struggle with the 15-second shot clock, are they?
No, they really aren't. They're playing it well inside that pace already. Interesting for me to see Craig is staying very reserved and controlled. Chris is turning around, interacting with Craig's supporters. Craig very much trying to stay businesslike and try and get this match won.
That's a great break. It's not a bad split either. I think he'd love to be reds here just at the early looking. I'm not sure he's got an easy first red to be able to play. It looks like he's going to go yellows because of that. Yellows aren't bad in truth. Thought the top right was initially a little bit more blocked, but all good really. Well, that's not ideal. I'm not sure if this cuts. I don't think it does. He's going to play it. Just going to take the pocket, but it was a ballsy shot.
Yeah, I think those are the sort of situations I'd like to see Craig just take that extra second, whilst he's got the extra few seconds, just to work it out, because for me, he overhit that shot. Okay, he caught the yellow that he was cannoning a lot thinner than he wanted to, but he only needed to move it on and off the cushion to be near the middle pocket, and then he could have stayed on one of the yellows at the top of the table. He almost kind of thought that's the ball I'm going to develop it with, and then just went into it with pace, and an extra few seconds to have that bit more precision on his cannon, and it really would have worked out better for him. Possibly the first time today that we've seen Chris play a safety shot.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. And it's going to come up dividends, wow. What an opportunity then for the King Pigeon to square things up at 6 apiece heading into the final 10 minutes. This match really could go anywhere. It's a good shot. I think he's still got a ball on. He can take this one to the bottom corner here. This isn't the end of the visit. It's not gone as he wanted it to, but he's got the opportunity to reroute. It's therefore quite an easy clearance. If he can nail this one down the rail, he can.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, this is really on, and we're now 10 minutes. Time for 4 frames if we wanted it. And these lads aren't going to hang around. We could be in for an absolutely box office finale.
Would like to have been a few inches closer to this, but still nice and controllable for him.
Halfway house.
Yeah, and his look on his face, he knows it.
This is horrible, isn't it? It's a tough cut, whichever way you go. Looks like he's going middle pocket for 6 apiece. Never in doubt. Oh, this is going to be a fascinating finish as we head into the 15-second shot clock territory. It's a great pot, a pressure pot. And Chris Patient here is really threatening to pull off a very unlikely comeback. He was down fairly heavily at the early going in this game, and it would be a big upset if he were to take the scalp of Craig Lakin here.
Yeah, it really would, and you could just see signs of frustration creeping onto Craig Lakin's face there as he sat in his chair. Big break here for Chris, and he put himself into the driver's seat. Oh, he's unlucky. He's unlucky. This time he controls the cue ball well, and it gets kissed twice into that top corner.
Oh, that's tough. 3 times I think it was in the end. What a chance then for Craig Lakin. As we've talked about a lot in this tournament, with the way that we're running the time and the clock, it's always so much easier to front run in this final 10 minutes. It's so difficult to chase. You think it almost benefits the chaser with that short shot clock, the ability to pull it back, but I think it is difficult to do in this high pressure environment.
I think for me it's just the fact that players aren't quite used to the short shot clock, and the fact that 10 minutes of pull is actually a long time when you're playing at 15 seconds a shot, and actually players almost over rush it, thinking I need to get through this quickly because otherwise I'm going to run out of time, or I'm going to run out of frames. And I think it's as players get more and more used to the short shot clock and the fact they're playing timed matches in this way, I think we're going to see a bit more variation to that, and players from behind being a bit more controlled in their comeback. Craig, of course, one of the most experienced playing with this.
Always white. Oh, wow. Wow.
I was just about to say that Craig's one of the more experienced at playing with the quick shot clock and the timed matches with all the shootouts he's played, and he goes in off. That's a little bit unfortunate to go in off, but he did overhit the shot by quite a distance.
Can we just restart the clock, please?
That's remarkable.
Stop the clock, please.
Oh, a little bit of a discussion being had here out on the table.
Start the clock for me, please. Yeah, please. Time running.
Not sure what the discussion was about, but I think it might be an issue with the shot clock, or Craig was just querying something anyway. All cleared up now.
But yeah, this is setting back into the status of this match. This was a key frame to win. We talked about the want to lead in this final 10 minutes, and it should have been Craig Lakin's lead. Still might be. Chris hasn't achieved what he wanted to in that visit and freeing things up. And Craig will go close to this. Cushion first. Bottom right. Wasn't far off. A let off for Chris Patient. This now has to go. Oh, you are kidding me. I'm lost for words. A Blue Moon event happening twice in the space of 5 minutes. That's a massive frame for Craig Lakin to win. I can't believe what I've just seen. That's incredible. Genuine. Let's have a little watch this.
I think, does he just clip the near jaw? Yeah, just clips the near jaw, and it's a really poor miss, really, from Chris's perspective. He was just trying to pinch it a fraction to get the position he wanted, but there were so many different ways he could go there, and that is a real gift, and that is going to be so hard for Chris to take.
Yeah, my apologies, ladies and gents. I thought that had been sent round the houses in the pocket itself. Yeah, absolutely not the case. In the end, it's a criminal error, really. Miss a pot like that. At this juncture of the match, that's a potentially critical miss for Chris. Craig Lakin can get it done here. One frame away. This looks like a decent Lyle. There's a little bit of congestion at the top of the table. Can he get it over the line here?
Just wonder if there's a 3-ball plant available at the top to open things up. Well, he's not going to take it on. You have to go for the colour set that you're trying to go for, but because he would have been going for a red, he could then play red, yellow, red to pot it, but perhaps it wasn't on or he's not seen it. Now he's played the 3-ball plant just the other way around, and that's come out okay. I think from the overhead we can see the red there in the middle of the top of the table does go to the top left, so 2 very good shots for Craig Lakin to open everything up.
Ooh. 5.5 minutes left.
Well, that was a surprise as well. I thought, having been let off in the previous frame and the 2 shots that Craig played, or the opening up shot that he played, I thought that was going to be it. I really thought Craig would just run that one out. It was a slightly tight pocket, but still a surprising miss.
Oh, he's feeling it. Thought the king pigeon was about to take flight there. He is absolutely loving it. He's in his element at the moment.
That didn't go as well. He had to swerve that round to make the potting angle. Excellent shot.
We could be going to a decider here, ladies and gents.
He's still got a lot of work to do at the top of the table, though. This is a lot harder than the chance he didn't take in the previous frame.
Oh, it's just been made a lot more hard as well.
Yellow.
Don't think he's... The yellow at the bottom of the table, what can he produce with it? It's just a safety, and we don't see many of those, but I don't think it's particularly safe, sadly, for Chris Patient. Yeah, Craig didn't even have to play cushion first, and now's the chance to go and win it. All right, it's been entertaining. It really has. I've enjoyed this match immensely. Both players have really contributed to it. And Craig Lakin isn't about to be slipped up by the banana skin that is Chris Patient. He was a massive favourite coming into this match, and he has eventually got over the line. Craig Lakin takes down Chris Patient, and he goes through to tonight's final to take on Declan Brennan. Wow. What a match, Simon. That had a little bit of everything, didn't it? It really, really did. I can't believe what we saw, particularly in those final few frames. A little bit of everything, didn't we? Had misses that weren't expected, safeties that didn't really work. It was a little bit chaotic at times out there.
It was, but the one thing that sort of caught my attention really was how Craig managed just to stay controlled. You know, he didn't look like he was ever affecting him. Only once he was kind of shaking his head after a shot or sat in his chair. I think he was trying to stay as businesslike as possible. It's not easy when you're a big favourite to win a match, and especially when your opponent is playing some good stuff and putting you under pressure. Craig did just about enough, but that miss there in the instead of going 7-6 down, he went 7-6 up. That's absolutely huge, and I'm sure when Chris is driving home tonight, that's the shot he's going to be thinking about. But from Craig's side of the table, he's just going to take the win, and now he's going on to a match where he knows he needs to play his best if he wants to win, and he absolutely can do that, but he's definitely going to have to step it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tonight's final is set. It will be Declan Brennan against Craig Lakin for a place in the last 16. That match is when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Our final is set. It will be Declan Brennan against Craig Lakin. By hook or by crook, he got himself through it, didn't he, Simon? It was a crazy second semi-final. Our shouts out to Chris Patient for making that one of the more entertaining matches we've seen. That really felt like it could have gone any which way, particularly in that final 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a very, very fascinating match to follow and commentate on, really. You know, Chris gave us a lot there. He certainly didn't hold anything back with his emotions out there and let us know what he was thinking the whole way through. But it looked like it was going to run away from him early on. Craig got off to a much better start, but he was let into the match by a couple of Craig mistakes. And then from there, it was just, you know, it was a mistake here and a mistake there from both sides in amongst some good pool. And, Chris, he probably should have gone 7-way. He definitely should have gone 7-6 in front, and he's going to be so annoyed he didn't. And if he goes 7-6 in front, who knows what the outcome's going to be. But I guess Craig's made it through where he knows he probably should have done before the match started. He's going to have to play a lot better in this final, though.
Yeah, absolutely, because lying in wait in the final, it definitely doesn't get any easier. In fact, it goes markedly up in tariff. Is Declan Brennan. We saw him play earlier, and we saw him in fantastic form as well, Simon. He looks absolutely match sharp. This is going to be a tough match for Craig.
It is. He's going to have to play his best pool. He knows he can win if he plays his best pool. You know, he's beaten players, all the best players in the world, so he knows what he can do. But he's up against a guy that we've already seen tonight who is in great form. You know, he came in here as the favourite to win tonight, and he started off like that as well because he was just, you know, so clinical and so solid all the way through. It felt like the only mistakes he made was a couple of positional errors at the end of the match, but you know, he was just making simple clearances look really, really simple, and you know, very, very impressed with Declan so far.
Yeah, we can hear from Craig. He spoke to us in the ad break there. He's got a big final coming up ahead of him, but the overwhelming emotion that was relieving itself all over the studio here was relief. He is delighted to be in tonight's final. I caught up with him a moment ago. Joined by Craig Lakin, fresh off that match. It was fast and frenetic at times. That last 10 minutes was a little bit chaotic, but you came through it. How pleased are you to be in tonight's final?
Very happy to win. I kept getting ahead, and then I'd either made a mistake or get a little bit unlucky, and then he kept winning the frame after. But he played well, to be fair. He played better than what I thought. I'd never seen him play. So all credit to Chris. He's not an 8-ball player, so full respect to him. I struggled a little bit myself, but just happy to drag over the line.
Yeah, one of those where you're just trying to get the win by any means necessary. Were you a little bit worried at any point towards those final couple of frames? It looked for a moment that we were going to have a decider.
Yeah, well, I was 4-1 up. I think I was 4-1 up or 3-1 up, and I missed a chance and I was cruising. And the next thing, the match was turned on its head, and all of a sudden I was up against it. And then I think I played all right towards the end. So the best come out when I needed to.
And talk to me a little bit about the support you've got here with you tonight, because it just feels nice to be back in that sort of sense of normality where you've got someone cheering, a pot that goes in, or when you win a frame you get a little bit of a ripple. It's nice to be back, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I think it's great for people watching. It's great for the players. It's great for the club. It's good all round, and it's good to have people back in watching the games. Puts a bit more pressure on you as well, which keeps you sharp. So fingers crossed the final goes a bit better. Yeah,
talk to me about tonight's final. Declan Brennan up against you. A great match for us neutrals on paper. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, Dec's a good player. Really looking forward to the match. I think I broke really well, so I think if I break well and find a bit more form, then I fancy my chances.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, here we go then. Tonight's final is set. Declan Brennan against Craig Lakin. It's Craig who's won the lag. And fresh off that semi-final, he hasn't had much time to recover, to get his head straight. He's straight into a match with a top player. And he's made a ball off the break, and you can hear that support that I talked about. Every ball off the break that goes in will be met with that reaction. They are all rooting for him out there. And if he can get things going, this will be quite a partisan crowd in that sense. But he's up against such a good player in Declan, who was superb earlier. You'll know how good Declan can be, and he showed us that earlier. It's not always guaranteed, of course, but looks in rude nick. Craig is going to have to be at his best to beat him. That's a good start.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a really good start. It was a really good break, and he just needed one developing shot. He's made that now, and I think it's important for Craig. We talk about it every week. The difficulty of the player that's just come through especially when it's a tight match in the second match of the night. They don't have long to, they have to come in here, do an interview, and then they've got to get themselves out there and be prepared for that next match straight away. And it's not always that easy. And I think if you can get off to a good start, it's going to make life a lot easier to deal with that sort of thing. Craig has the great chance here to do so.
Yeah, that wasn't an absolutely gimme clearance either. Had a little bit of work to do. Did it well.
He's just got into that one a little bit too much. He wanted to leave this dead straight, and he's come back for three-quarter ball.
It's interesting when he first came into the studio for that interview. Just had a quick few words with him, sort of off air, as it were. And what you said to him was you were impressed at how well he kept his cool and kept his composure. First thing he said is, inside I was boiling. It's frustrating, isn't it, when you're not playing at your best and you know there's more in the tank?
Yeah, well, I know Craig a little bit, and I kind of knew that he'd have that sort of feelings inside, but he didn't let any of it show on the table, and certainly didn't play anything rash on the table. He was always, the mistakes he was making, he would have been really frustrated with, but he managed to keep himself in check and just focus on that next chance, next visit. And okay, he got away with one there in the 13th frame, but in the end he did enough.
First break of the final for Declan Brennan. Boy, he's breaking well tonight. Somehow, no, he is going to make a ball. And I tell you what, we've seen some. We've only seen, I think, I can count on one hand the amount of matches that have been finished before the time in this tournament so far until tonight. Two of them already tonight. These players are really not here to hang about. They're playing at a real pace, and what's helping that as well is they're both breaking really well, and they're getting the splits that's enabling them to play at this pace. And this could be a really interesting one tonight, because it's the first one where I've sort of gone into it and think we may well get you know, if need be, all 15 frames in.
Yeah, we haven't seen many, have we? But all the players are really going after it nice and quickly. The 45 seconds at the start of the match isn't really part in play.
Yeah, it's been ignored all night, hasn't it?
It absolutely has been ignored, and the players are playing at the same pace all the way through. So even when we go into the 15 seconds, they can stay in their own rhythm. But they've also had some good splits. Like I say, they're all breaking well. So after that break from Declan, he has the opportunity to respond straight away. Looks like he's leaving the ball at the top of the table for his last ball, which it always looks fairly simple because there's nothing in the way. But whenever you leave a ball in the middle of the top cushion till last, it can always go wrong.
Yeah, the punishment for getting it wrong is losing the frame. That's the problem with doing that. The one thing you would say, and I don't want to talk this out for Declan Brennan because it's happened twice already tonight, but the one thing you would say with Declan so far is the way that he's playing, particularly with his cue ball control, is he's giving himself the luxury to be able to play like that. This isn't a controversial shot for him because he's got the confidence and he's got the ability to make it look routine.
Yeah, he has. I agree, he does do that, but if this time he's left it slightly awkward. This is a missable pot. If he could play it plain ball, then he's going to go into the yellow. So he has to do something with the cue ball here to avoid them, and that makes it more missable. Oh, he has got a little flick on that yellow and makes this 8-ball tricky.
It's a 1-1. Never really in doubt, was it? Brilliant from Declan Brennan. Back-to-back break dishes to start off this final. I have a feeling there'll be a few more where they came from as well. The man from Mayorbridge in Northern Ireland was the big favourite coming into tonight. Craig Lakin was the second favourite, so all gone to seed as it were, but this is the man who certainly the bookies thought would qualify, the 28-year-olds. His resume speaks for itself. That Supreme Series winner doesn't quite maybe have the, I don't know, the status of something like a Masters or a World Championships, a European Championship, anything like that, but it's got the same feel. That is, in terms of the actual winning of that tournament and the players you've got to beat, that's the level.
I mean, to give you an idea of his level, I mean, he's not been in the pool world that long coming from a snooker background, but the last World Championships that we covered here on Free Sports, he came into that as a qualifier, and I think when we'd reached the last 32 of the tournament, he was the second favourite or third favourite to win the tournament when you consider how strong the tournament was. That's how heavily he'd been backed.
Yeah, Craig coming up dry on that break, and this is a good chance here for Declan. This is the sort of visit on the table where it's a little bit fiddly, a little bit almost finicky, but these are the sort of lies where a player like Declan thrives in, because it's all about that control, all about picking the pattern. Something we always talk about Mark Farnsworth being brilliant at, and that's that similar sort of snooker style backgrounds. Sort of like Phil Harrison does it so well, Michael Hill obviously. Where visits like this, where you think, if you take a wrong order or you pick the wrong shot, all of a sudden you come unstuck very, very easily. Those players make it look very, very simple.
Yeah, and they tend to do their work early as well, and this is a prime example. That first shot from Declan, he's hit the gap between the yellow and the 8-ball, and okay, the gap isn't, I mean, it's not massive there, and he didn't have to move the cue ball far to land in it, but that when he lands in it, that all of a sudden makes the finish so much easier, because from that point onwards the route is much more clear. If he hadn't have landed on that gap, okay, he could have gone a different way, but to get back to that gap is going to be really, really hard for him. Well,
Craig is used to competing in front of a decent atmosphere. He was present, I think he's been present at all the shootouts that the OMG promotion ran. He got to the semis of one of them as well. And there you go, they take place in front of some raucous audiences. As well as his money match record, he gets his name for good reason. And those matches not only come with that sort of financial pressure, but invariably they come with a pretty rowdy crowd around them as well. He's no stranger to an atmosphere, and as he said in his interview, peps him up, keeps him honest, thrives upon it. Declan Brennan, though, is looking in lethal form. 3 frames, all off the break. 2 break dishes, 1 reverse dish for the brilliant Brennan.
Well, you do question what was going to happen for Declan when he was put under pressure, because he wasn't put under a huge amount in that first match. And the first thing he's done is respond to a break dish from Craig with 2 of his own.
Superb. This is money-making Lakin from Derby, just down the roads. He was fuming earlier because his half-an-hour journey took him nearly 2 hours with that traffic that he talked about. But he's relatively local to the area. The pool scene around this sort of part of the world is absolutely thriving, around the East Midlands and Staffordshire. And Craig, no stranger to this venue. And he settled in really well tonight. Was impressed at how he kept his cool in that match against the King Pigeon.
I had, nearly had an 8-ball in. Just talking about the journey, didn't have a huge amount of sympathy for Craig, because I could race his journey. My 3-hour journey took nearly 6. So
yeah, I've been impressed how you've kept your cool.
Yeah.
Nearly a golden break there for Declan Brennan.
Massive break, that really caught them well. Big sign for me is the path of that cue ball straight up the centre of the table. Really solid contact, all the power going straight through that pack. And his first break in this match, he actually caught a little bit more to the side, and the cue ball went off towards the centre pocket. It stayed on the table, and he was able to complete the break dish. But this time, even better again.
Yeah, extension call. He just needs to figure this one out. He's got plenty of time to be able to do it, but it's a little bit more problematic than maybe it first appears here. Those 2 balls that glue to each other by the middle pocket are his obvious biggest problem.
Yeah, and I don't think he can play this yellow off the yellow. It looks a little bit too low to do so. Yeah, that's why he hasn't played it. He's going to try and go into it now, I think. That's why he's taken his extension, just trying to work out which way he wants to go about trying to go into this. It's the way these tables are laid out, he's probably only going to get one really good chance to get into it.
Big shot. Oh, it's come out good for him. It's the perfect outcome in the end. He's got the hand up in apology, but ultimately he's achieved both of what he was trying to do, and slightly got away with one. Just wonder if he got his angle slightly wrong, or if that was him just trying to pinch the pocket as much as possible to keep that cue ball online. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Mission accomplished. But Declan Brennan, a man on a mission tonight, that's for sure.
It was all about that shot. Once that shot goes in, he had the perfect angle to stay on the other yellow at the bottom of the table, and from there you just know he's not going to make a mistake.
Yeah, he's been clinical tonight, and he's a man who takes this sport really seriously, does everything the right way, prepares and practices really, really well, and I think we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of Declan Brennan. He really is a top player, and he is looking in really dangerous, ominous form tonight. We knew Craig Lakin would be up against it. At the minute, he's not really had a chance to show us what he can do. He's had a break dish, and then he broke dry, and all of a sudden he finds himself staring at a pretty hefty deficit. Those are the levels. Anyway, this is the last 16 draw from quarter 1. That's already set. This will be week 17 of the competition, as things stand. Jordan Shepherd against Chris Melling. Sign me up. Phil Harrison versus Rob Chilton. Yes, please. 2 box office last 16 matches. The best thing is, in the same night, the winner will play each other. 3 guaranteed brilliant matches. That could be a finals night and you wouldn't even blink.
You wouldn't blink at all. It really is. It's 4 of the best players around. It really is going to be a great night. Important here for Craig to get a chance. Okay, he's got that chance. Now it's important he makes the most of it and responds to the 2 finishes from, or 3 finishes I should say, from Declan.
Love the support. It's so nice to hear. I feel almost a little bit like an excited child when they go to a football stadium for the first time and they sort of hear the noise. It really have missed that crowd, any sense of it. There's, not that many people watching, but I've watched so much pool over the last year or so with no one around to watch and just you at home, but just having that reaction to a shot and having that support, so nice to be back.
It really is, and long may it continue as well. Hopefully we're through the worst of it. I know we all feel the same way. Oh, what an effort that was from Craig, and I think he's okay. He was trying to go into those 2 yellows, but he's landed in such a way that he's on the yellow to the top left if he wants it, or he can take the one to the top right to play on the one to the top left. That was brilliant from Craig Lakin there. Had to really force that to create that angle, and a bit like the Declan Brennan frame, clearance in the frame before, all about getting that one cannon.
He does play at such a brilliant pace, Craig Lakin, that it's sort of that natural flair to his game, isn't it? That when it's good, it's so good to watch. And his supporters are enjoying it too. Lovely to see. 3-2, 5 frames, and you can't get any better than this.
Difference.
Neither player has remotely made a mistake. We've seen a dry break, that can happen, no worries. But as soon as they're at the table, these players have been flawless so far.
And they've not been easy finishes either. They're not all of them. Those last 2 is all about the key developing shot, and they both got it right. That one from Craig in particular was fantastic. But yeah, this match so far has come down to the dry break from Craig. That's the only difference in the match. 3 finishes from the break for Declan, 2 for Craig.
Some match there so far. Long may this continue. If we don't see this standard drop, we are in for some match. Needs ball. Doesn't get a ball. Craig Lakin then with a chance to tie things up. The way things are looking at the moment, how these 2 players are playing, you wouldn't bet against it. Declan here will take a look at the break. I mean, it's plenty of movement, isn't it? Just nothing quite happening. That's just one of those that you chalk up to sheer dumb luck, really. It's another great split, and Craig's got another good chance here. Let's have a look. He's sort of looking for balls in pockets. There's nothing a problem in that sense, but the ball that's difficult to land on is the ball on the right rail. He's going to look to get on it now. Or he looked to move the red out the way, I think.
Yeah, tried to target that red and just missed it. Now he's going to have some problems to get back to that area.
He's got the option of just landing on it, but I suppose his problem then is getting out of it and being on his next yellow.
I think to land on it, you're going to be very, very thin on it.
So it's a difficult finish.
Yeah, so I was going to say what you play on afterwards becomes difficult if you leave it thin.
That's all right, that still goes.
He may have left himself the perfect angle now to screw across, target that red. Not trying to overhit it, almost just reach the red. Well, that will do.
Yeah, he'll do.
May not be exactly as played that time, but it will certainly do.
Oh, he won't care. one iota. Great chance to keep this form rolling. 3 apiece is on the cards.
Just has to avoid the reds when he plays round for this 8-ball. It looks easy, but it can go wrong. Just has to make sure he picks the angle. Really easy to catch one of these reds half ball and leave yourself snookered. He's overhit it. This is not easy.
This is not easy. This is not easy at all. Never in doubt, was it? 3 apiece in tonight's final. Absolutely perfect pull. Who goes through to the last 16? We'll find out when we come back. Welcome back. You haven't missed anything. We are as you were. 31 minutes and 15 seconds, tied at 3. Neither player has made a single mistake. And that is tough. Flawless ball so far from Declan Brennan and Craig Lakin. It's been some standard, this. And Craig, insult to injury here. He's saying, how on earth haven't I made a ball? Well, then the key ball goes down. And that's, you know, that's sheer luck. Nothing you can do about that. Perfectly good break. Not only is it dry, it's also a foul break. Declan Brennan, in the form he's been in, you just know that you might not come back to the table for a couple of frames here. That's the level we're at the moment. Craig Lakin has just hit a perfectly good break and is fearing the worst here, that by the time he comes back to the table, he's 5-3 down.
Yeah, that is the standard
played
they're
a
playing
lovely
at.
cannon there just to free out his difficult ball. He's still got a little bit of work to do, minds. That yellow and red glued together, that might just no longer be a problem in a moment.
It really was unlucky for... Oh, it's gone wrong this time for Declan.
A rare error. He's got a reroute available. I think this red cuts, but it's not a thought on his mind. It's an easy snooker.
It's the one thing he did well in his first match as well. A couple of times he did make a positional error. He didn't just give it away by chasing a finish that wasn't there. He's then played a safety or a controlled shot and waited for another opportunity. It was unlucky from Craig on the break, and it's unlucky again.
It's unlucky, but I can't help but think that that's falling into the trap that Declan Brennan was trying to set him, because that was, whilst it was Craig's problem ball, yes, it was also Declan's problem area, and it now no longer is that.
He could have, if he wanted to, tried to. I mean, that was the easy ball to hit. He had to hit it with pace because he has to hit a cushion after contact, but he could have played for a different yellow, a harder hit down the table maybe, but you're not necessarily going to open it up in the same way. Only argument against that was that those 2 reds looked awkward, but if one of those went, and I think maybe the one in the middle of the 3 balls that are in a line went, then it opens up the other one. Difficult to tell from the angle we had. But what we do know is that it's now really opened up for Declan, and from everything we have seen tonight, he's close to chalking this one up already.
I mentioned in his interview earlier when he played in the Champions League, and I asked him if you didn't catch it, you feel like you had a point to prove after not quite making it out of the group with, I mean, it was a ridiculous group. I think from memory, Dylan Leary was in it, Michael Hill was in it, and the thing is he was just very honest. He said, no, I think actually I played pretty well. There was a good argument to be had in that 8th group that he's actually the best player on the night. He just didn't quite make it through.
Yeah, for me, he didn't play his best match against Michael Hill in, I guess, what turned out to be the decisive match. He beat Dylan Leary and Shane Thompson comfortably that night, but in his match against Michael Hill, I don't know whether it just didn't fall his way, or it almost felt like he was just a bit tentative, which we weren't expecting. Not seen it from him before. maybe the fact that he was playing Michael had an effect. Only he'll be able to say that, but he wasn't far away.
Match though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I think it was only 1 or 2 frames in it from memory. It was close, and you know, tough school, that competition, when you know only one of Shane Thompson, Dylan Leary, Declan Brennan, Michael Hill goes through in the groups, but he is the real deal, this lad. And Declan Brennan retakes the lead. And this is quarter 2 of the draw live. We will have one more name to add to that last 16 draw to join Carl Sutton, Sam Bircher and Josh Kane. All 3 of those have looked really impressive. Carl Sutton in particular I thought was excellent in getting through against Ben Flack in particular. Sam Bircher was solid, looked excellent against Morgan McInnes. Josh Kane was outstanding in getting rid of Tony Blount, and his match against Jordan Church was match of the tournament for me so far. But I think it's fair to say, and you mentioned it at the top of the show, that whoever is to enter into the last 16 at this point, whether it be Declan or whether it be Craig, they'll go into that last 16 draw and they'll think, I've got a great chance of making the semi-finals.
Yeah, there's no doubt, but I think that's the way you've got to think when you're playing at this level. You've got to not fear anyone and just go about match by match, and you're in it, but you're in this tournament because you believe you can win it.
But there is always that sort of element of realism, isn't there? As Craig Lakin's made a rules error here. Played yellow onto reds. So it's still open table. It's not a foul, but it is just loss of turn. You have to pot the colour that you originally play. So you can't play yellow onto reds. We'll see it here. Yellow onto reds, pots to reds. It's just loss of turn. Rule actually came up a little bit earlier, so I remember you mentioning it, with a 3-ball plan potentially.
Yeah, Craig has played predominantly black ball rules throughout his pool life, but he's played enough international 8-ball rules, or supreme rules as they were called before, not to make that mistake, and he's also played other rule sets as well in tournament play, so it's just a bit of a lapse in concentration for Craig Lakin.
You are, as always, my oracle and on the rules, so just explain it for us once and for all.
You have to. You can only pot the colour set you're going for. So if you're going for a red, you have to pot a red. If you go for a red and you inadvertently pot a yellow, then you are. It's just turned the table over. It's just loss of turn. It's not a foul. Loose positional shot this time from Declan. If he's got the red through the gap to the middle, then he's been very fortunate, even though it's going to be a tough shot to come back for the yellow for the red at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, he has got it as well, you can see there.
And he's got the angle he wants as well. Still not easy.
Yeah, it's been the way of Declan Brennan tonight. He's probably only made, you can probably count the mistakes he's made on one hand, really. It's been pretty flawless. But he has got a little bit of the rub of the green at times as well. He had that in his first match against Oli Bale. And he's had it there. Still required some degree of skill to still make it work.
That's a better shot than it looked as well. That really is, had to cue that one so nicely.
Yeah, you saw from the slap of the thigh from Craig Lakin, this has left an unmissable 8-ball, but that was a great shot. Some standard here tonight, and I guess that's the first time I'd say in the match where a player's made a mistake, a real verifiable mistake. I think in the last frame when Craig was snookered, he's hit his ball, didn't get another look in. What are you going to do? But that was at the start of that frame. It's a mental error from Craig Lakin. Great chance, potentially wasted.
Yeah, very much a mental error. We've seen a couple of positional errors other than that in the match, I think. Just the one from Declan and foul from Craig, but hard to call those errors. And yeah, that could be massive in the context of this match. It really can be. 5-3 or 4-4. That, saying if Craig had gone on to make the finish, but in a match when there's so few chances, so few mistakes, something like that can really make the difference.
Oh, and that could be big. That's a loose one from Craig. Screwing straight in. He's watching that 8-ball as well, because it nearly was a loss of frame if that 8-ball had gone in. He was the victim, of course, of the best golden break we've ever had in the Champions League against Dave McNamara, when Deej potted the 8 off the break with the final shot of the match to win 4-3 after being 3-1 down.
It wasn't just that as well, because in the very next match, because similar to tonight, Craig had to play back-to-back matches, and in his very next frame, the first frame of the next match,
yes,
there was a golden break for Carl Sutton as well. So he'd gone from being 3-1 up, looking like he was going to win his first match against David McNamara, to 1-0 down in his second match, and he'd done nothing at all. Hard to take for Craig.
We've got 5 seconds here, Declan Brennan, to get his skates on. Oh, and the time pressure forces a pretty bad miss.
I'm not entirely sure what Declan was thinking for that yellow at the top of the table. I think it was slightly strange what he was trying to do. I'm not sure what he was trying to do with the cue ball at the top, and in the end he ran out of time, and that's still a very, very poor miss.
Yeah, that's a collector's item. And now this is where Craig Lakin has to punish.
I say it all the time, don't I? When your opponents at this level make a mistake, you have to step in and punish it. If he can get away with that sort of mistake, then you just start to relax, and you're going to run away with it. Craig not happy with the position he's left the cue ball in. He's
sarcastic pool players tapping the table. Notice that straight away.
Yeah, having to cue over this red now, really awkward, and it's a bit of a cutback as well. He's done well.
Yeah, that's a great shot. It's a great recovery.
Number of different ways he could go here. Could take this one to the top left. He's going for the top right. Looks to be a slightly harder pot, but he thinks better for his route. He's not quite got the cue ball where he wants it yet, though. That's too thin. See a slight grimace on his face as well. He wanted just to be able to drop this in and drift down for the yellow next to the red, and he can't do that now.
Yeah, this clearance is just on the edge, isn't it? I just feel like it's constantly kind of getting away from him, but I think this yellow goes to the left middle here.
Problem he's got, if he takes the yellow to the left middle and he flicks the red, the cue ball could be going very close to the right centre pocket. But even if he doesn't go into the centre pocket, he's going to be leaving a tricky cutback on the last ball, and then difficult position, potentially cannoning a red at the bottom of the table to get onto the 8-ball. So this isn't certain at all.
He's got other options. The yellow straight in front of him goes to a couple of pockets, but it's tough in either of them. Just needs to do some working out. He's got time. This is the first time I think all night we've seen Craig Lakin use the full 45-second shot clock. He knows how important this next shot is. He's even called his extension.
I think he's gearing himself up for this pot in the centre pocket. If he is, then he may well be playing it absolutely dead weight. No, he's going for the other one. Looks like he's going top right.
This is massive. That looks pretty good. Oh, that's some shot, that. That is some shot, that. Under the gun, Craig Lakin has produced an absolutely money shot.
Yeah, and he developed the other one as well. Knew he was getting the cannon on the second yellow, played it at a lovely controlled cannon pace.
Big frame to win. And he knows it as well. Clench of the fist from money-making Craig Lakin, who came up with A money-making shot. This is so good. Judged to absolute perfection. Pace control was spot on.
The whole way through that visit, it felt like he never got control of that cue ball. He was always just running the wrong side of position the whole way through to that point to come up with that big shot, especially when you consider the mistake he made in the previous frame and the way the match is going. That was absolutely huge, and one brilliant shot from him that's going to keep him in this match.
Yeah, keeps the final really alive for me, and actually just sort of turns the table over to Declan Brennan here with a little bit of pressure on his shoulders. He obviously made a mistake in that last frame, and Craig is, against the odds, pulled it out of the fire to bring him back within one. A little bit of pressure on this break for Declan. He's throwing his cue at that, and it's gonna come up dry. Now then, this is a tough table. Just having a quick glance at it. This cue ball's nearly taken out the table like here. This is how high it went. This will look great in slow motion. Boing.
Declan gives very little away at the table. Oh, that's a poor miss from Craig.
Yeah, he was just trying to hold it, wasn't he? Wasn't able to do so.
I was just going to say that Declan gives very little away at the table, but that break he went for extra power, almost showing some frustration with that miss in the previous frame, but he's been let straight back in by that poor miss by Craig Lakin. But it's still a messy table.
Yeah, this is horrible. A lot of work to do here.
Choosing reds because reds are easier to solve the problems in the bottom left-hand corner of the table than the yellows. He's a little bit short of pace with his cue ball. I think he's got a shade too much angle here. He'd love to cannon the yellow above that red, but he may not be able to do that. No, he could. And that's worked out well for him. If he's on this red to the top right corner, he's opened everything up.
Oh, he talks about the last frame being massive. This also takes on huge importance. I think this will be the case now for every frame, running towards that 0 point on the clock. Every frame massive, every second counts. Quarter of an hour to go. Declan has gone about this visit beautifully. Both boys are playing some top stuff here. These are difficult clearances that are being dispatched under real pressure against top quality opposition. Declan Brennan to go 2 clear and to go 2 away from the last 16. Never in doubt. That's some finish, that, Simon.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That really was. That wasn't easy. The first couple of shots to get into the position to open everything up, and once it was open, he was never going to make a mistake. But what a response to that miss in the previous frame.
This is next week's lineup in Group 9 at the top of the graphic there. Simon Fitzsimmons against Mike King will open us up. Chris Day, Andy Craig will play the winner. A couple of weeks' time, we've got Lee Kendall, Gav Robinson, Ryan McCarthy, Emma Cunningham. And then the 2 Davies brothers enter in 11 and 12. That's still to look forward to. It's a reminder for next week. I keep saying next week. It feels so weird on a Friday, but next week, Tuesday we are on. We are back on Free Sports, 6:30 on Tuesday in 3 days' time, that is. And you know, Craig is really in this match, and you know he knows how much every frame matters. Had a little check of the pack on the break. Little nosy, just to make sure. Can't afford for anything to go wrong at this crucial point of the match.
Just shows.
Yeah, he's a very cool customer, and he sort of prides himself on being relaxed and laid back, but he is in this match, and he wants it.
I was just going to say, it just shows how important it is to have the balls tight on the pack. The fact that Craig's going out there and checking it. Was trying to develop that ball. He's just played safe off with his first shot when he was quite a bit wide of doing so. So playing the safety, not chasing a finish that isn't there. That's the right way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something he was guilty of against Chris Patient in the first match. He never really gave any shrift to the potential to play safe. Declan Brennan, that is a collector's item. I think that's only his second missed pot of the night. Second one in the match. It's only his first proper one. The first one was caused by time pressure when he made a bit of a mistake with his cue ball in hand. That was a tough shot. It would have opened the frame up for him if he'd have made it, though.
And it's come out well for him as well. When you miss like that, yeah, I thought for a second he was just going to take the pocket with it, but he played it with such pace. He wanted to get the cue ball up the table, and he was thinking more aggressively. And it's come out so nicely because the red's blocked off, but the yellow's actually still plant. There's a really good layout at the top left for the yellows.
Extension call.
I think the two yellows at the bottom plant as well. So Craig's given this a lot of extra thought, because this is, if he doesn't get this right, he could easily leave Declan with a great chance. He's done well.
That's a clever shot, yeah. Top of the table from Declan to appreciate that. This is such a massive frame.
Declan should go close to snookering him here and keep Craig in trouble, though. As good a shot as Craig's just played. And he has got excellent return.
It's a frame that you feel Craig Lakin has to win this. And he's just gone fairly big second favourite, and now he definitely is second favourite. That's unlucky.
It is unlucky, but it's good news, bad news, because watch this again and see the little flick he gets on the yellows just stops them from being a plant. So actually that stops it from being an easy finish, and you can see what Declan's having to come underneath this yellow here and just nudge it open and play another snooker.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad for Craig Lakin. Frees the 8-ball up as well. Good shot.
International 8-ball rules, remember, so it's no shot on a visit or two shots or anything like that after a foul. It is just cue ball in hand anywhere on the table.
Or is he going to go in off again? Yes. And this time there isn't. Good news, bad news. It's just bad news. Still thinking about the bad news.
Yeah, it certainly is bad news. Plant goes to the bottom left, plant goes to the top left, everything else is in the open. Just has to be careful when he plays the plant to make sure the ball he's hitting doesn't go awkward. It'll be the same again when he comes down the table for the plant at the bottom.
You hear that noise in the background? That means the start of the 15-second shot clock. For a player who is generally quite particular and quite precise, he also plays at quite a decent click, Declan Brennan, doesn't he? He's not too fussed by a 15-second shot clock, never appears too hurried. Just seems to be, he's pretty composed no matter what the shot clock is. He's only been caught out by it once, and that was on 45.
Yeah. He hasn't looked rushed at all, although we didn't see a huge amount of it in the first match, the 15 seconds. His work was done.
He'd already sewn up the match by then, hadn't he?
So he's leaving the plant till last, so he does have to be careful when he plays this. The yellow is just going to go a little bit towards the middle of the table. Oh, it's straighter than I first thought from the main camera, actually. It was absolutely straight, so yeah. No problems at all.
We'll go one from home here, Declan Brennan. Played superbly. Craig Lakin now will have to win all the remaining frames. It's back to the wall. Declan Brennan is almost there. This has been a really, really high standard match. I've thoroughly enjoyed this one. Hope you are too. Declan Brennan, one from a place in the last 16. And a few more interested observers now. Word travelled around the club about how good a match this was. You want to get an eye on this.
Yeah, it really has been. First 6 frames were all cleared from the break. There's been a couple more mistakes since then, but that's not to say the standard still hasn't been high. It's just been a mistake has been made and then it's been fully punished. It's been excellent. Craig's played his part in a great match so far as well.
Yeah, it's been great. Really enjoyed it. See referee Scott there just making absolutely sure he's got a little bit of time on his side to play with. Declan Brennan then breaking for the match. Throws everything into it. Red's in. He's not going to have an easy opening shot. Look at that.
Oh no.
Wow. How's your luck?
Have fun with this, guys, because that is not nice. They're both going to be playing a little tippy-tappy shots here for a couple of shots. Trying to make sure they hit the ball and then hit a cushion. He's going to leave a chance on Reds. He's done well to actually just move that yellow far enough forward to block off the red to the top right corner.
Really Craig Lakin, you go for this, right?
As long as he can screw back in and open up this ball at the top right, and he can't, so he hasn't. I think the reds at the bottom were solvable. Middle pockets available.
Open table, remember. Shot. Oh, that's a really, really good shot. Declan Brennan's played some brilliant ones tonight. That might be one of his best, and what a time to do it. One frame from home. And to play a shot like that under these circumstances, that is some talent, but also some nerve too.
Yeah, and I'm slightly surprised that Craig didn't take the finish on. I can only think that he felt he couldn't get into that yellow and red at the top. But he was leaving an opportunity for Declan to take on the double in the way that he did, and maybe it was a slight lapse in judgment from Craig. Perhaps he didn't think that plant was on for a double.
Oh, Craig Lakin has played really well tonight. I think 8-4 will really be quite tough on him because he's been brilliant in this final. He's done precious little wrong, but tonight has all been about how good is Declan Brennan. Right from the gun, he has barely put a foot wrong, and Declan Brennan puts 2 feet in the last 16. What a performance. What a night for him. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters. That's the current scene within the arena, and that is the current scene within the draw. What a performance from Declan Brennan to secure his place in the last 16. He lines up for a mouth-watering clash with Josh Kane. I'd like to say he joins me now. Declan, that was an amazing match. Congratulations on a great win. Just talk to me about that match in general, because that was a relentless standard, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was, and the crowd sort of made it even more sort of appetising. Like, I know Craig was massively overpriced before this group even happened, and I'm sure a lot of people had money on Craig to get through that group. I would myself when I'm not allowed to bet, you know. But no, I played well. I was happy how I played, and just glad to get over the line.
What was most impressive for myself and Simon on commentary was the consistency you showed all the way through, right from the very first frame tonight. You know, we talked a little bit about the cloth was relayed yesterday, I think, so brand new table to feel like, but you never had any feeling out process. It was just perfect from the get-go. What was your state of mind coming into this match tonight? Because So
Yeah.
whatever you did seemed to work for you.
I know I lost position a few times, but I sort of play the game so I'm leaving myself maybe options in case I just do run out of position in the ball I would like to get on. Maybe that's why I didn't run out of position as much as others. But no, I was happy how I was playing coming over, and I've carried through. So that's all.
And it's a mouth-watering last 16, no matter who would have ended up going through tonight. But
Yeah.
a great tie for you as well, a player that you know really, really well. How
Yeah.
much are you looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to it. I know Josh since maybe 6-7 years ago when I first started playing pool, and he's a nice lad and he's a good player as well. So I'll be looking forward to playing that now.
And we've had the crowd in now for the last couple of weeks. How much of a difference for you has it made? Because obviously you were here for the Champions League when we were obviously behind
Yeah.
closed doors. You seemed to revel in that atmosphere. It seemed to
I love
sharpen
it,
a few
yeah.
minds, didn't it?
Yeah, I love it. The atmosphere is everything to me. I just buzz off the crowd and it helps me focus. Whenever it's quiet and there's nothing happening, I sort of drift in and out of my thoughts, where whenever there's crowd around, I just seem to focus more.
I dare say there'll be a few more in for your last 16 match as well. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thanks very much.
Superb performance side, just about perfect right from the gun tonight.
Yeah, no, brilliant performance from Declan. It was brilliant to watch, and he started tonight as the favourite, and he showed why all the way through. He was pushed there by Craig, but it really was Declan showing why he was priced up as the favourite, and he is one of the favourites to win the whole competition. It's going to be fascinating to see how the rest of the tournament unfolds, but brilliant stuff from Declan so far tonight, or so far in his competition.
And take a look at what we've still got to come in the coming weeks. Group 9 there at the top of your picture is next Tuesday. That's in 3 days' time. On June the 1st, Simon Fitzsimmons kicking things off against Mike King, a great opening match there. And Chris Day takes on Andy Cragg. That's Group 9 still to come for you, and we've got a little bit of time just to preview that group real quick. Simon, I guess heading into it that Fitzsimmons would be the favourite on paper at least. I think he probably will be with the bookies as well, but he's not got a particularly easy group there. Mike King in particular is a difficult opponent to draw for your first rounds.
Yeah, like so many of the groups, I think it's quite a tough group to call. I think I would give Simon the edge. He's a bit more used to playing with the short shot clock, so if matches get tight as we go into,
buzzes off a crowded environment as well.
and we know that as well. The grand final he won, beating Jordan Shepherd in the final, clearing up twice to win the grand final with 2.5 minutes left on the clock will live long in the memory. It was absolutely fantastic. What a finish to a tournament that was. So that's why I think I'd give the edge to Simon, but it is a really tight group to call, and I could make a case for any of the 4 players actually making it through.
Well, it was a fantastic night tonight, wasn't it? Declan Brennan, absolutely brilliant. Right from the first minute when he took foot in the arena, he was relentless, he was professional, he was absolutely perfect, and he's booked his place through in the last 16 of the Masters here. And what a tie-in prospect that is, by the way, with Josh Kane against Declan Brennan. Cannot wait for that already. Do join us next time. We're back with you in a few days. It won't be long until we're back on your screens here on Free Sports. Same time of 6:30. We will see you on Tuesday for Group 9 of Ultimate Pool, the Masters. From myself and Simon, a very good night.